All right, guys, welcome back. It's been a while, but welcome to another episode of the Mastery Podcast with your host. I'm Master Chris Malarkey, 5th degree black belt in traditional Taekwondo. And today I have the special privilege being joined by this brother on the opposite side of the screen from me. Before we go any further, I want you guys to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button located somewhere on your screen. That way I can keep bringing this awesome content to you. And without further ado, the owner of AV General Contracting, located all the way in Ohio, a very talented craftsman. Had the pleasure of working with also a black belt in Taekwondo. So we share a similar background and ethos as well. I've had the great pleasure of being around this brother for many years. So without further ado, Avonte Herrod, welcome to the podcast, brother. How you doing over there, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for the nice introduction.
Of course, man. Of course. Well, obviously you're a black belt, right? Starting with that, how did you get involved, in martial arts?
Okay, martial arts. It's kind of a funny story. I was at a point in my life I was kind of reinventing myself. I was already studying carpentry at the time. I've been doing carpentry since I was like 20, so I've been doing carpentry for a long time. But as far as martial arts, I feel like I'm an athlete, so I was looking for a new sport.
Gotcha.
To say the least. And there was a school down close to mine. I kind of checked it out. I was like, man, this is pretty dope. Let me go in there and check it out. So I got the free class. We got the free class, wrote me in with the free class, like, oh yeah, what's there to lose? You know what I'm saying? And then after the first class, I was hooked, man. I was like, yo, this is where I need to be right here. Like, no further questions. Where do I sign? How much is it? Like, let's do it.
Beautiful.
So yeah, that's how it started right there.
How can you describe the process for the average listener who may not be privy to what we do per se in the martial arts and going all the way from a white belt, right, day one to black belt, which could be day 3055. What's the process like if you had to break it down from your perspective of going from white belt to black belt in martial arts? Because I wanted to take this to another level with regard to something else, but I wanted to take it away.
That's a very good question. Man. A white belt, it's like a little newborn baby. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It's a newborn baby that's just like, oh, wow, you got all these questions, and you might be scared to do things wrong, or you might be, it's almost hard to describe, but it's like a journey. It is a journey, but you don't see it as that until you're like, man, I want that black belt. Like, you know, I had the once I started, I don't have a problem with dedication. So I was already dedicated from the get-go. Now, if you're not dedicated and I also didn't get caught up with what we were wearing and things we were doing. I was like a student. I was like, I want to learn, you know what I'm saying? So some people get mixed up with, how they look and how they're being perceived from the outside world. I didn't have any of those issues. So, it was a little bit easier for me to dive in head first. Like, you know, what is it going to take for me to get the black belt? That's really the ultimate goal for me. When I saw that, I was like, I want that black belt.
Right.
Yeah, starting off, you're so intrigued. There's so many different things going on, and then you got a little bit of fear because it's a contact sport. You know what I mean? Fear is good, a little bit. You know what I mean? You don't want to live your life by fear, but you want to. Those instincts are going to kick in. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whoa, I might get punched or something, or he might miss the pad or something.
Right.
You might get hurt.
Right.
So you kind of look past, once you can look past those type of things, and then you start getting stripes and rewarded for your efforts, and it's just like, oh, I need more and more and more and more. If that answers your question.
Gotcha. So taking that mindset is a great way to analyze that. Now, on my end, I've taken martial arts literally as adopted it as a lens to look at not other martial arts per se, so much as I look at life on my end. So I feel like there are stages, right? These belts really do, even though it sounds cliche,
Right.
we go as human beings, we go through stages of life and ranks, right? Where, I may feel like a black belt today being dad or a husband, but realistically, tomorrow when I wake up, I really do go back to being a white belt, right? Because I haven't mastered that day at all. The goal is to try to do, whatever I did great the day before to try to put in the day after. And sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. That's sort of the human experience. But I find that there are sort of belts we can apply in different aspects and corners of our life with respect to certain things. Now, you're also a master craftsman, what I would call a master craftsman. You work with your hands and you build these amazing things, sinks, bathrooms, and it's just you, like straight up. So when you're sort of like, kind of like Da Vinci, like when you're building things and installing things with your hands, is that all natural for you? Or do you take any elements, I wonder, from your time in martial arts and blend that in to sort of assist you when you go and sort of switch, switch mindsets for your business?
Oh, absolutely. I would say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
It's a little bit of natural ability, and there's a little bit of just repetitive nature. Always trying to strive to get better every single day, even if it's a little thing, something you notice 6 months or a year ago, like, wow, oh, I got some improvement on that. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't stress how you how I can't stress enough the importance of knowing this life is a journey. Taking your white belt to black belt is a journey. Going from starting, no, figuring out what career you want to do.
That's a big
That's
one.
right. That's the big one. You know what I mean? That's hard to do. You're gonna commit your whole life to one career. I mean, it doesn't have to be that way, but step by step,
Right.
not to overwhelm yourself. You
Right.
have to do this as a journey. So, a couple of things that really uh, I I want to implement as far as and everyone needs to take this with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. This is what works for me. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's different. The key is to find yourself, to find yourself, and first off, give yourself self-love. You know what I'm saying? Self-love. If you're not loving yourself, then a lot of these principles that we talk about is not going to work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It sounds so, we talk about it all the time, but to really love yourself for all your mistakes and flaws and not being perfect, nobody's perfect, but having that self-love is going to propel you in anything you do. Then it's going to give you the confidence that you need to basically, I would say, for martial arts, you need to. It's a repetitive thing. You need to attend 3, 4 classes a week.
Right.
If you're not putting in that work to do that, you're not going to propel. It's as same as life, as far as a career. If you're going to school and you're taking 2 weeks off of school, or you're not taking your test serious, it's the same thing. You gotta love yourself enough, have the confidence enough to basically say, I'm the man in this. You know what I'm saying? That's what you ultimately want to do. I'm the man or the woman. You know what I mean? This is what I do. And wake up every day learning or wanting to learn, put in the work in to basically advance through this journey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How many that's a great jumping off point to like sort of the next thing that I wanted to transition to. So you seem to stress like the mentality, like almost a student's mentality, but consistently, not being a student for just a period of time in the journey, but being a student throughout the journey, if I'm hearing you right. So, and that's very rare to come. I mean, now I obviously teach a lot and have, trained, X amount of students and been here and been there, but it's rare to find you find people that are enthusiastic about it, but when that enthusiasm wears off, the
Yes.
initial enthusiasm wears off, where it doesn't have that same allure to you as the first day, and it starts to change a little bit,
Oh yeah.
and you start to notice students, who people will start to essentially separate themselves, right? And not just respective with martial arts, but with anything, right? When they're initially interested in anything, you kind of are like you try to get your college degree in that thing, right?
Right.
From the jump. And after a while that wears off and you're like, all right, I can get my high school diploma. After a while, you're like, all right, I'm good with grade school. So it's
Right.
like people seem to have a downward trajectory with their interest in terms of how they apply themselves. You seem to really live the lifestyle of someone that's committed to learning really every single day, even though you're already fantastic at your craft from so many different angles. I've seen you lay floors. I've seen you install showers, sinks, kitchen cabinets,
Oh yeah.
top to bottom. I mean, it's really fascinating to watch someone look at something, right, that doesn't initially look like much, kind of
Right.
similar to how I would see a student. And I'd be like, all right, that person's going to be pretty good if they put in the work.
There's two things.
Yeah.
Two things. Let me add to that. There's two things that get you to that point. First off, you have to have vision. That is, that's it. If you don't have vision for your life or for what you want to be doing, then it's gonna take you a little bit longer to
Nah,
get.
for real.
I'm not gonna say you're not gonna get there. It's just
Right.
gonna take you a little bit longer because you're gonna be scatterbrained. You're
Right.
gonna be 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. You gotta have, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to set out to do, and make a plan. And then to get to that plan, which I love TKD Taekwondo so much for this. You know what I'm about to say.
That's
It's,
sir.
it's the discipline.
Yes. Yes.
Self-discipline, all types of discipline. If you don't have discipline to carry out your vision, then you're just spinning your wheels.
Right. Right.
You're spinning your wheels. You can have all the enthusiasm in the world, but I say about green belt, blue belt, you start to think, do I really want to do this? About a year and a half in the TKD.
Halfway along the journey.
Halfway? Oh
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're like, man, whoo, it's you get to thinking about dropping out, and it's like, where's that vision? Where I want to be? I want that black belt. You know what I mean? And sometimes it can get repetitive in a TKD, and also in the carpentry, you do the same thing over and over.
Right.
But it's the foundation, it's the repetitiveness. You know what I mean? So when I go do a side kick, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just doing a sidekick. You know what I mean? But you're training yourself in the what is it? The basics that you do. You're training your body, your muscle memory. But it's the same thing with putting a tub in. You put a tub in. I just put my first tub in maybe 3 weeks ago or something.
Wow.
But I paid somebody to do it, so I watched them. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm learning, actively learning.
Right.
And paying attention to everything, all the details that go into it. So now getting with that, now 4 or 5 tubs from now, it's gonna be like,
Oh.
I ain't even gonna be thinking about it. I'm gonna be like, man, get that level, boom, check please.
That's
You know what I'm saying? But it's the repetitiveness. That's what people failed at. Nobody want to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? Putting the work in is where you get the results. Discipline and vision.
And if I can add to that, right, it's putting the work in really when you don't want to put the work in that day.
That's the most significant.
Or that week, or, because you can easily get into the mentality of, right, and it's so simple to just, thoughts really dictate everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
I can say, you know what, I want to relax today, and then, that day turns into the next week, that week turns into the next month, and all of a sudden now you're, X amount of times further away from your goal than, had you just taken off the day because you actually needed the day. And I see the discipline aspect, at least from my end, as really a different word. It's not really discipline so much, I think, as being open to change.
Okay.
So let me explain what I mean. So if there's someone, like let's say you have a significant other and they say, you know what, let's do, I think we need to revisit this, and you changed along the way somewhere. You're like, well, physiologically, you're thinking, wait, hold on a second, you don't want me.
Right. Right.
No, what they're saying is, are you open to
Mm.
exploring a deeper level
Wow.
of doing this? So it's like,
Okay.
can you discipline? Because you can apply discipline across relationships, you can apply discipline across finances, you can apply discipline across many different things. And some people just apply discipline in their field, not in their life.
Wow.
So it's that's what I've noticed, and it's trying to get further and further away from, especially just me teaching, making sure that I'm doing 3 times as much work on the outside and off the mat, right, as I am on the mat. Because you never feel hypocritical when you pay that guy. I guarantee to put the tub in. I guarantee you didn't like, you do this. Let me know when it's done. I'll come back. You want it to stay and absorb, right? Process somewhere, go back to it. Maybe you pay one more guy. You're like, all right, the third one, I got to put my hands on this, even if I fail.
Definitely.
So
that's the most important one. Even if I fail, man.
Even if you fail,
Man, that's so important.
Are you afraid to fail?
Absolutely not.
Why is that?
Because that's when you get the greatest lesson, man. You learn. Sometimes it's better to learn what not to do than what to do. Those are some great lessons in there. All about perception, right? And then not, people say, man, I took an L. You didn't take an L. You took an L if you didn't learn nothing from it.
Right. You took a lesson. Yeah.
Right. You learned a lesson. That's what you did.
Right.
It might not, it might not be the most beneficial thing that happened to you because you wanted it to be quick.
Right.
But you maybe have to turn, whatever the case may be.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's very important. Not being, to own a business, you have to take a leap, man. A leap of faith.
Is it a big leap or is it a small leap?
It is the biggest leap you ever gonna do. It's like the Matrix leap. You know what I mean? When they be flying like, don't look down. Yeah, you over there flying. You know what I'm saying?
You couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest. That's a great analogy. Now you're also a musician. You drum. Yeah. You got a huge drum page. Me and you always vibe on music amongst many other different things. I feel like I see the discipline you're talking about with respect to your hobbies as well. Because you're not just an accomplished craftsman and carpenter, you're an accomplished musician too. On top of being, husband, and on top of being black belt, on top of being brother. So it's like, how do you maintain discipline through all of those like big areas of your life? How do you maintain discipline as, a part-time musician, if you will, unless you consider yourself a full-time musician that just practices part-time?
Oh, no, actually, man, playing drums is my first love. Man,
Okay.
I love playing drums. Like, I'm completely free when I'm playing drums, but you still have to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And also with that, just for me personally, I just could never vibe with the music industry and how they treat each other. I'm like, it's just some stuff that's just I don't agree with. So I was like, okay, I didn't finish school for music, but I'm still good at something else,
Right.
And in small tangent, pick something you're good at, and everybody follow your dreams. I get that. Maybe you can do that when you're like 18, 19, straight out the gate,
Right.
and nothing happens. But yeah, be realistic and choose something you're good at.
Gotcha.
So with the drums, the drums taught me how to practice. Like,
Interesting.
Yeah, it taught me the discipline to before martial arts,
Right.
because martial arts, I started martial arts when I was about 28. I've been
Okay.
playing drums since I was about 13.
Wow.
And yeah, I've been playing drums for a while, so I know many styles, and I can incorporate that as a business owner. I I have to be able to do everything. You know what I'm saying? If somebody walk out the door and say, "Screw you, I'm not doing," the job got to get done. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make myself. I don't put myself into a box. You know what I mean? I try to learn as much as I can, do as much as I can, and that's with drums. I want to play all styles. I want to play uh, marimba. You know what I mean? That's just that you just don't want to limit yourself. The more you do, the less you wait.
Gotcha.
So that's what taught me how to do a paradiddle. I'm sitting there doing paradiddles for 5 hours. You know what I mean? In
Wow.
college, I would go to school. I was behind on reading music, so I had to put in a lot of effort to read music.
Right.
So I'm putting in. I go to the student hall or music hall. I look at the time, and I look up. It's dark outside. I've been practicing for 10 hours. You know what
Wow.
I'm saying? Like, and this is daily. You know what I'm saying? So that really installed in me, like, practice and repetition and coordination building and all that good stuff. So yeah, but if I answered the question right, yeah, I that was the foundation that I could apply to um, martial arts and then later to my business.
That's beautiful, man. So you actually got the discipline. I'm thinking, it was the carpentry and martial arts sort of at the same time, not even thinking music sort of in the timeline really preceded all that stuff
Right.
and then taught you, I guess, how to look at accomplishing a goal, a long-term goal, because going from white belt back to martial arts, white belt to black belt, in Taekwondo, typically about 2 to 3 year process, right? You may be able to cut it down to like 2.5 if you're going 4 times a week, 5 times a week.
Right.
So you sort of already knew what the game plan. You already laid out maybe like a cerebral game plan, if you will, of how to attack this goal and
Yeah.
chip away at it. Even though, right, which I talk to my kids about all the time and adults, is to detach yourself from effort to results.
Hmm.
Because just because I work hard at it doesn't mean I'm going to achieve the goal. There's got to be more than just working hard going on behind the scenes. There's got to be working smart to some degree. There's got to be, essentially create your own luck because you work hard, right? But you
Right.
also have to have desire and intention, which shapes all of the other sort of subconscious actions around, when you're not practicing or doing whatever, you're trying to do, I think. But there's, it's almost like you already had like essentially the map, the roadmap of how to really get a black belt. Did it surprise you when you got one? When you got your first degree black belt, did it surprise you like how long it took you, or was it more like I planned this out and I achieved the goal now?
It was more I planned it out, but also while I was getting my black belt, I was building the dojo. So it
Yes,
was
literally,
it was
right? Talk about
literally
talk about that, please.
it was insane. That
Talk
was
about that.
an insane moment of my life, man. I've never
I
worked
heard a little bit about
I
it.
never worked so hard in my life. That's the first time I literally worked like 24 hours straight.
Wow.
It don't matter. It got to get done. You know what I'm saying? So
Love that.
so in between short story, in between red belt, black belt, I got an opportunity. And at this time I was working a day job,
Right.
but I was working this day job and I hated every day of my life. I like knew it was time to go. I had already been like working a day job and trying to build up a side business. It was just a side business at the time. I was still working a lot. So I got an opportunity to basically be a general contractor or do just a lot of the work for the new dojo over at Master Mars Taekwondo. That's the home right there. I see y'all in a little bit.
Beautiful.
But Yeah, and shout out to Master Mar
Big shout out. Much love.
and Master Bayless Mar. Man, they trusted me, you know, but because they saw who I was and who I am, and in my heart, and like I take anything I do serious. It's not a it's not a game. When I'm in TKD, I'm not playing. You know what I mean? There's no jokes out here. I'm dead serious. You know what I'm saying? So they saw that in me, and they trusted me, and it came out, man. I mean, it's still standing today, and
Ah, yes,
it
yes.
looks great too. So, but in that period of time, I had started a company. That was my first job as AV general contractor.
Wow.
Starting a company with no, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, with no business loans, no, generally no help. I had a couple solid guys. Shout
Right.
out to Brandon Newby.
Shout out Brandon.
Yeah, he was my right hand man, and I like to work alone because I ain't got all this in my head. You know what I mean? Or no, you know what I mean? Just people who don't get along. I actually did had uh, a disagreement with a guy. I mean, it was crazy, but it all worked out. But yeah, at that time, man, I was basically staying in shape, doing the work that needed to be done, and remembering all my patterns.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a
That's
lot.
a lot, you know what I'm
A lot.
saying? So hopefully I didn't get off topic, but
No, but how like how long did it take? You said there's like your first big job, which I was personally really proud of you,
thank you. Thank
watching
you.
how you made the leap, maintain all of these other parts of you. I always think about life like strings, and
Mhm.
there are horses attached to those strings. Sometimes you give it a little snap, and sometimes you forget one time, you gotta get pull here and
Oh,
pull
I
back
like that.
here.
I
So
like that.
I was like, how is he maintaining? You know, when you see someone work, it's great. We all clap. Then you're like, all right, where is there's neglect somewhere? Where is this person not pulling back from or be able to maintain? And it looked like you were able to maintain, like, you know, all of these elements going on while sitting there working probably overnight, working early morning, to get this place done, all because, you know, this one special man says, hey, I got a goal. I need you. You're the guy for the job. I'm trusting you, and you know what that means.
Oh yeah.
And it's a very special kind of, when someone puts their full confides and their full trust in you, it does change how you approach the goal, right?
Oh yeah. You can't let them down.
You
You
can't
can't let
let
them
them. You
down.
can't let them down.
Not an
And
option.
yeah, it's so like from start to finish, building that school. How long? What was the time frame like? Really, how long did you have to really work on and get it done?
Man, that time frame.
And were there any setbacks? How did you deal with any setbacks, if any?
There was a couple setbacks. The time frame for that was 8 weeks, brother.
Wow, 8 weeks,
8 weeks.
8
Yeah.
long weeks,
8 long weeks from start to finish. It was 8 weeks.
including
So,
Saturdays and Sundays.
oh yeah, I mean, what those are just regular days so you can get
Prime
up and go to
time,
work. You know what
prime
I'm
time.
saying?
Got you. Okay.
So there's a, I hate to say it this way, but it is what it is. There's a method that, as a business owner, small business owner, when you first start, that you have to go by. It's it's basically really no one really cares about how you feel at the moment. You know what I'm saying? You know, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? Is a formality. You
Right.
know, it's a
Right.
formality. But when it comes down to work getting done,
Right.
it don't matter. Only thing that matters is the work being done.
Is it done?
And if you can adapt that mindset, you know, when you get weak in the moments when you just, man, I've been working 10 hours, man, I'm tired. I want to go home, watch some TV. What? No, no, no.
Right.
Those kind of thoughts can't enter your brain. You know what I mean? You really got to be like, you really got to see the goal. You really got to basically have the vision, man. You have to, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Right.
They built that over however many years, thousands of years, however many years. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to take. Sometimes you got to take it day by day. Sometimes you got to take it minute by minute. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I also had a back injury, um, what that was, man. I was eating Advil like Skittles, man. Every 4 hours, I'm making sure I'm because it was just, I think, I don't even know where it came from. It's just
Right.
maybe overexertion.
Right.
But that was a something that went on throughout the whole time. Um, it's a funny thing. It's not funny, but I can laugh at it now. There's a, there's a kick that you got to do. I forget what it's called. The final kick when you jump up and
Jump front kick.
the jumping front kick. No, wait, what with the board and
Yeah. Jump
okay,
front kick. Mm-hmm.
okay, jump front kick. Sorry
Yep.
about that.
Yep.
You can see on one of the videos, I attempted it and missed it, and you see me reach for my back.
Oh,
It was crucial, man. It
right.
was crucial. But guess what? That don't matter, man. I got to kick that board, man. I got to get this black belt.
Is it
You know what I'm
done
saying?
or is it not done?
Exactly. If you can have that mentality, you can go far. You can go really, really far. But that is like kind of a hardcore mentality.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, you know, might need a break or might need some time off. I need to heal. Nah, you can
Right.
heal when it's all done.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? And basically just have that determination. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to give this to you. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? And there was another setback with the flooring. I think I had made a mistake. I had a flooring specialist come out there, and he was supposed to help me with the job. Ended up leaving, and some of the team came and helped me put some of the floor down, which was a godsend. Master Mart basically like, come on, man, my guy needs some help.
Right.
But I had miscalculated. Um, and it's on my page too, miscalculated going over an existing floor. Basically, yeah, it's just a miscalculation, but it cost me. It cost me. Like that ate up most of the profit right there.
Right.
But instead of looking at that, like I want to give up all, tail between my legs,
Right.
Eddie up, got the floor ripped up, and everything still works today. And that was one of the roughest moments of it because everything else is pretty standard of what I do, framing, drywall. You know,
Right.
I've done that in commercial buildings all the time. But
Right.
flooring is a little different aspect,
Right.
especially commercial flooring of that size. We're talking about 3,000 square feet. So
It's a lot of square feet.
that's a lot of mess up.
A lot of square. Yeah. Correct. That's so.
You know?
Your mindset during that setback was am I gonna turn, how can I turn this now perceived obstacle into an opportunity in real time,
Yeah.
not retrospectively, but right now? How do you process that when you realize, hey, I'm about to lose some money that I just made off of this miscalculation?
You really got to, you see AV, that means something. If it doesn't mean something to someone else, it means something to me.
100%.
And my name, that's all you have. Somebody out there on the street talking about you, and they all AV did this, AV did this. They'll be like, what? You're lying, man. I know AV ain't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? Because your name is everything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, not like Google's the best, but I can use Google as just a landmark, so to speak. A 5-star company on there. I say about 10 reviews over 4 years. It's hard to get people to get some reviews, but the ones I got on there
Yes.
is because I bust my butt every day. I
Right.
was respectful, you know what I mean? I just treated someone like they wanted to be treated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But in that moment, it's like, screw the money. You know what I mean? We got to get this done on time,
Right.
within budget. The
Right.
money gonna come back. The money gonna come to you. You know what I'm saying? If you're doing what you need to do and you're delivering, the money gonna come. It can't always be about finances. You know what I'm saying?
Love that.
That's where we got that word. Everybody can see that word, that integrity right there.
That's it, right behind me up there, for sure.
You gotta have that integrity right there. If you ain't got that integrity, then
yeah,
you can get all the money in the world and boom, it's gone.
Correct.
Gone just like that,
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
you ended up getting it done. It looks great. It's in Shaker Heights, I believe, in Ohio.
Yes.
Master Mars Taekwondo. So big shout out to those guys where I got my start
Oh yeah.
when he was here in New Jersey. Um, great,
Great
great,
people.
great people, great school.
Like that's
Um,
it's literally my family. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
exactly how I feel as well. And I feel like in pockets of hobbies and interests, right? There are essentially these communities of people where you can, it's literally an extension of your family. I always make a point
I like
here
that.
at my school. When I speak to parents particularly, I said, you guys are an extension of my own family. So I'm going to
Mm.
hold your children to the standards I hold my kids to, which, is excellence that evolves, right? Not that they're, my kids have to have their homework done or they don't take. My kids that live right here above me cannot take class if they don't have their homework finished. I
Mm.
don't care if it's a week, you don't come down, the homework needs to be done because that's priority one. And then, I'm checking all the other areas, you have your room straight, or because my job is to develop people, not necessarily martial artists, of course, but that's, kind of a given. But I was like, I feel like I can do more if I try to develop people
I like that.
as well. And if I can do that at the same time, yes, it takes more work, but it's so much more rewarding to be able to do that. So I've always treated, I feel, the many students I've had the privilege of teaching as extensions of myself.
I like that. I
And I
like
think
that.
that makes a big difference, that a communal feel, right? Like you're, part of like, a group of people that works with their hands as well. So it's like, you're by relation, right, of doing the same kind of work and going through the same kind of struggles, you familiarize yourself, and all those other barriers like the color of your skin and your religion and your political life, all those things seem to drop because you're unified in what you do.
I like that.
I think that's where I find the biggest, because it's so weird. I could, you could work, I could, you said it's not all about the money. I could be making, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but will I be leaving impact is the question.
Mm.
At the end of the day, what's the impact? And then obviously you have to find balance, which leads me to my next question for you, really. As a business owner, since you and I are both Black business owners, where do you find, if at all, balance in work and your approach to it? Because it's so easy. I know for my wife has to pull me out of what I'm doing.
Mm.
Yes,
Same
and I
here.
pull the plug in my back and be like, "Hey, we're stopping now." I'm like,
Right.
but just one more class.
Right. Right.
And you can get so lost. And so, like, again, I guess this is a bigger question, right? What's the real advantage of being so singularly focused? Because I've noticed, you can have a singular focus, just like what martial arts teaches, how to focus and how to fine tune and tunnel vision things, right? But there's also got to be some balance, because while you're funneling here, you're also neglecting the outliers, right? So
Yes.
in your life, with all the work that you're doing, which your projects I've seen take weeks or days. I know it took. I initially had a different date to talk to you, and you're like, "Hey, I need at least 2 or 3 weeks to finish said projects," right?
Yeah.
How do you
Definitely.
accomplish balance in this with everything going on with inflation, with having sort of other people that are depending on you in your personal life? How do you find balance?
That's a very, very good question, man. Sometimes, to be honest, sometimes you're not able to. Sometimes you have to devote the time to where it needs to be,
Right.
um, and it will be up to, if you have a significant other. Hopefully they're understanding to the point where they know what you're doing, and they know where you are, and there's no issues where you can't go do what you need to do. But on the other hand, you still need to set boundaries, some type of boundaries. You feel your body breaking down, you're about to get sick because you ain't slept in 3 days. You're gonna have to take that day off, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to. If you
Real.
don't, if you don't, bad things can happen. Put it like that. I
Right.
mean, it don't even have to be your fault. You can be driving or something, fall asleep on the road. I mean, that's your fault, but that's not necessarily you just been working too hard. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If
Right.
you're not taking that time out to replenish yourself, um, you know, to see the other things that are being neglected, there's little signs that you hear your wife in your ear squeaking. Oh, she need that time, man. You got to put the time in,
Sure.
So now I've been implementing things like I just try to implement things like don't work on the weekends, which is almost impossible, but don't do AV general jobs, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Physical labor during
Right.
the weekend, that's not always I don't always get to do that.
Right.
But I try to like this winter I just was juggling 3 jobs, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I can't stand doing that, but like I said before, no nobody cares, nobody cares. Nobody, just because it blended in or COVID or something happened, don't matter. Job still got to get done. So you have to just, it's almost like putting fires out. You see a little smoke coming up. Before that thing catch on fire,
Right.
dousing down with a little bit of time or a little bit of hey, we'll sit down and go out to dinner or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or give your body some rest. That's pretty much the most important thing.
Yeah.
Being a small business owner
Right.
is giving your body time to heal, because work gonna always be there. We ain't gonna always be here,
Correct. That is true.
So, and you don't want to speed it up
Big point.
by not resting properly. So the balancing act is it's like Barnum and Bailey, you know what I mean? It literally is,
Sure.
man.
That's it's certainly what it feels like. I was thinking to ask you also, just what's the what's the impact or the significance of being proactive and versus reactive,
Ooh,
right? Like you were talking about putting out fires, right? But
yeah,
what about what about being proactive, like ahead of, making sure that that smoke doesn't come up from that one place, because you're gonna,
right.
like I've been down here today probably about 4 hours now, which
Mm.
is a large chunk of the day.
Oh
But
yeah, especially on a Sunday.
especially on a Sunday. But I planned Friday and Saturday to be, completely accessible
Right,
around
right.
the clock. In essence, like trying to make really an investment, right, back into the areas I know I'm going to neglect on a particular day, just because the work has to get done. So, what in your field of work, what is how can you be proactive, and which one's better, being proactive or reactive?
You
Problems,
need
problem solving, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you need both. So
Okay,
fortunately, I was born a natural problem solver. That's why I'm a general contractor.
love it, love it.
So I was taking things apart, toys apart, fixing them at like a young age.
Right.
So problem solve. One second. Hey, Christine, can you give me 1 second? Um, so problem solving is basically a gift that I have. So I would say you need both, because you need to be able to, like you said, see. If you've been down that road and you know what's about to happen, don't basically do the same thing that's gonna create the fire.
Right.
But I've also have another gift of um, learning from other people without them even knowing that I'm learning from them.
Mm,
So you you have to be able to, just be in this environment where you just like soaking in everything at all times. You know what I'm saying? Like being aware. Um, you know, you never know when it can benefit you. and when it's going to resurface again.
Right. Right.
So if that answers your question, um, reactive is more like instinct.
Right.
Proactive is like doing the homework. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? In my opinion.
Gotcha. So you basically stay in this, and again, going back to mentality, right, which is a lot of what this podcast is really centered around, right, is mentality of people from across various disciplines: music, general contracting, martial arts, largely, right. As I'm branching out and talking to more people outside of the martial arts field, I find more and more similarities between what I do and what everybody else does, right? Their approach. And a lot of it seems to be regarded as a mentality. And it seems like being a white belt, regardless of being, a master in your field,
Mhm.
is more beneficial than to have just sort of put a hard stop on, I'm done learning, this is what it is. Because let's face it, most people in many fields, when they've reached or attained a certain status, stop learning
Definitely.
in that
Definitely.
field, regardless of the topic or concentration. And I guess the learning curve does slow down, right? I mean, in the beginning, when you're picking up something brand new, of course, the learning curve is immense, right? It's literally infinite. But then, as your interest wanes and your knowledge grows, that relationship between your interest and the knowledge you have, I feel, creates the kind of student you're going to be in that field, right? Like, we all know math up until a certain point, right? As I
Right.
talk to my children, I said, well, it's mandatory you learn math up until a certain point. Do you need to do calculus 3? I don't really know.
Right.
Depends on what you're going to want to do. But, so far, we need to get past algebra. And then, you need to know how to do something with English up to a certain point. You need to know another language up to a certain point. So it's like, from what I'm hearing from you, AV, you're just sort of, you know, constantly recruiting a day one mentality all the time, like, and constantly recycling that mentality.
Right. That's
And
it.
you've been doing, how long have you been doing carpentry work for?
Carpentry, I've been doing that since I was about 20.
About 20. And
Yeah.
how old are you now?
I am 34 now.
So
So
you've got 14 years, which, would you consider yourself a master in your field?
at this point, I would say yes.
Okay. And are you still hungry to learn more about what you're doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just like that tub that we just put in.
Right, right, right.
You know,
So then here's the big question. What drives you to continue learning? We talked about you learning, but what drives you to learn?
I just honestly feel like I'm a student of life. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm never gonna stop learning. You know what I mean? Only time I'm gonna stop learning is when I'm not breathing. If I'm watching TV, I'm trying to learn something. I
Right.
just love to learn, you know what I'm saying? So it's and I want to be financially stable. I also want to, take care of my family if they need anything. I want to be there for them
100.
financially. So, there's a little bit of hunger there, and I want to. I haven't been, I wasn't born with a silver spoon, so I've worked for everything that I have. Some people nowadays they see me like, hey, how you get that? How you get that? It's because I went to work every day.
Put your
I've
hands on
been
the
in
work.
where I've been in the trenches since 13, 14, you know what I mean? I want
Love
some
it.
money in my pocket.
I love it. How did you, from when you started learning to now, if you had to give your younger self any advice coming up, what would it be?
Hmm. A younger self. I would have to say, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
That's what I would have to say because I mean, I wasn't the student that I didn't, there were some breaks in between my studying with carpentry and whatnot, but I didn't stop. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
would just, I would, and no, you know what I would say? I would say, love yourself for who you are. That's got to be the most important thing that I didn't really start implementing into my life until about my 30s. Um, true self-love. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's gonna grow up with insecurities. They want to change about themselves, blah, blah, blah. But I'm talking about real self-love. If you can tap into some to loving yourself for who you are and learning yourself, then man, that's gonna take you can do anything with that confidence, man. But without that confidence, you're gonna be shaky. You're gonna let what other people's opinions that's gonna affect you, and it could be in a negative way that hinders you if you don't have that self-love about yourself. If somebody tell you can't do it, you know what I mean, you look at them crazy, like you don't even know who I am. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Because you just in tune with yourself, like Cat Williams in tune with your star player. Like, man, that was everything. You know what I'm saying? I love that about Cat Williams. He got the funny delivery, but the message is like,
Right.
man, if you really love yourself for who you are, then you won't accept certain stuff. You know what I mean? You won't tolerate certain stuff. You know what I
Even
mean?
from yourself, right? Like when you look at the quality, the high quality work that you do by yourself. Have you? I know you've done it. I'm going to ask you. I already know the answer, but I just want to hear how you phrase it because I've seen you work on stuff. And I'm a big fan of yours. I always have been watching
Thank
you
you, thank you.
mold stuff. You're very welcome. And I realized like this guy just doesn't accept anything less than a certain quality from himself on the job.
Yes.
That true?
That is absolutely true. I
Right.
got that from this church that I grew up in, Cuyahoga Faith Center. Thank God for them. Um, that's where I actually learned how to play drums, and the level was excellence. It was nothing but excellence.
Gotcha.
So that was instilled in me for I mean, it still is. So and then where I went to school, there was. There was no tolerance for anything but your best. Only the best were here. You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
that's what was fed to us. So it just kind of snowballed and just kind of meshed together the lifestyle and the having a standard. You know what I'm saying? You want just and having respect for your name. You know
Of
what I'm
course.
saying? That's what it comes down to. You don't want to be like, man, AV did this, and they looking all like with their noses turned up. You know what I mean? You want to be like, oh, okay, yeah, my boy did that. That looked good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And never stop learning and take some lessons, man. You could get lessons anywhere, man. You could get some online
That's
lessons.
a big thing. That's a big thing.
YouTube. I still take drum lessons. I've been playing drums for however many years. I still take drum lessons. Like
Wow.
once you think that you know it all, then just you're done.
Right.
Like,
I love that.
we've met people like that. We've met people who think they know everything.
Every day. And
Oh my
sometimes I'm even guilty of, feeling like I've I've learned what there is to know in a given subject craft. And then that thought immediately exits my mind because I'm like,
great.
now I gotta look for the next thing to humble me, right? Or to be a student, find a way to be a student again of the craft and look sometimes in different places you'll find, right? Like, I've had this extensive relationship with BJJ now, and I remember my journey doing that because I felt I was really good at what I did in Taekwondo, but I was like, something's missing.
Mm,
I need to get humbled somehow.
man.
It's hard
I,
to find. It was hard to find that. So I was like, all right, let me go somewhere where it's really easy to get humbled day one, right?
uh,
And that's what my relationship with this great instructor we have here coming to my school, Johnny Garcia from Bronx Martial Arts Academy. He's absolutely phenomenal, and I knew he was phenomenal. Great brother. Was just here a couple hours ago running our 2 seminars for us today, one for kids and one for adults, and just keeps it fresh for me. And when I go back to Taekwondo on Monday, it's like I'm looking forward to it now.
nice.
But I went outside of my comfort zone, right, to
Mhm.
find that. And many people stay in that one place
Yeah.
and won't have their back while you have your back turned. You know, there's so many things that your back is turned to, if you're not being open to those possibilities. I find that oftentimes it's a very weird thing. But I'm winding down with you. I wanted to ask you one or two more questions, AV.
Oh yeah.
With respect to business, and what you're doing and building, can you, or is it possible to detach yourself from your business persona and what you do versus who you are?
Ooh. I would have to say no. I would have to say my business is like a little infant, you know. Like if a man can birth a baby, he birthed a business. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Great way
it
to look
needs
at it.
attention. It needs attention constantly, and you run your business almost to the same, unless you just like have an alter ego or a different personality.
Right.
You run your business on like your lifestyle and how you want to be treated, and we're providing a service. You know what I mean? When you go to a restaurant, you be like, man, that was some terrible service. You know, service. We're in the service industry, so
Right.
you have to know that every single encounter is an experience. You know what I'm saying? These people are having an experience. If with my business, if I'm there for 4 weeks, every single day I come in there, they're having an experience. You know, is it a good experience? Is it a bad experience? Is it a mediocre experience? You know what I mean? Does it need improvement? So I would say no, because if you do that, then you're kind of living a double life. You know what I mean? You're almost living like a lie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't even see if there's any other way for it to happen other than you just pouring everything you got into it. Unless you're like a trust fund baby who can just afford to lose.
That's not me
You
or you.
know,
So
right. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You got to put it all. You got to put everything you got in if you want to take off, or at least have some type of goal where you're like, okay, this is working. You know what I'm saying? This I can do this, or I'm happy. I'm happy where I am. You know what I'm saying? It's
right.
all about financial freedom.
Yeah.
Most importantly, controlling your own environment. That's my biggest thing. That's really why I can go work for some people, but I like to that's why I work by myself. I want to control my environment. You know what I mean? I want to set things up. I'm a systematic person. Like, I'm like, sometimes I'm not even realizing it, but I'm setting myself up for success every day. When I leave work, I'm making sure when I come back, it's clean. I don't want to come back
Right.
to some junk that I could have spent 30 minutes cleaning up. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You put that extra work in, you go the extra mile. If you're not going the extra mile, then it's a dime a dozen general contractors out here.
100%.
You know what I'm
100%
saying?
right.
So
And
yeah, I would say
I think you're the best one I think you're the best one in that area, man, and beyond.
I appreciate it, man.
I have to say.
It's really picking up. You know what I mean? I don't know how I got to be the bathroom guy, but you know what I mean. I really like kitchens. You know what I mean? But I'm not about to complain about that. You know what I'm saying? And let me add one more thing to that. As far as being well-rounded, like I like how you put your school in. You're implementing more than just TKD. You're trying to, hey, there's more than this is a martial arts community. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's more than just specializing in one thing. Like if I just specialize in carpentry, there's no way I would be able to do plumbing to put a tub in. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Right.
I'm not
Right.
allowing myself uh, for that opportunity. So if you're going to be something, a niche, get you a niche, but don't limit yourself to that niche. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Because the more you do, the less you wait. And yeah, I like how you had you're not scared to you had your white belt on. We see you right there with the picture with the black belt on.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you
That's
know
a
what I mean?
different me.
But you had a white belt on teaching your class. I mean, how if you're not that humble, if you can't see the vision or the correlation between being able to put a white belt on and learn from the beginning again, then man, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a little tough.
And it's not, for me, it's not difficult. I find it's actually very easy. It's probably a little strange in interaction with students because I had a white belt on and I was having them do patterns. They're like, why are you wearing that? But I'm
right.
like, let's go. That they understood, and we'll probably talk about it because I'm very open with students in terms of talking to them about thought processes. Like, what did you think about, not asking them leading questions. Like, was this like this, right? Like more like open-ended. Tell me about this experience we just had here. How did you feel with me wearing this? What's
Mm.
going through their minds, because I want that for both children and adults to guide them. It's not just for kids, right? How I'm teaching. Many adults need this and don't realize they need it. And
Definitely. Oh
and I
my goodness.
feel like I'm going to reach as many people as I can while I got time on the planet. I'll be doing this when I'm in retirement. My wife knows that already. I'll teach some little beach classes for a half hour if I can.
Hey, oh, yeah.
So whatever my older self looks like, he'll probably still be doing some instruction. But I just find it simple to put yourself in a position where you're telling someone, "Hey, I'm learning," without having to say it.
Mm.
Wrapping a white belt around yourself and having someone come choke you out, is
Hey,
ultimate way of saying, I submit myself not to necessarily this person, but to this next process,
yes.
and how to synthesize what I just learned with what I've been doing for over
Mm.
30 years now.
Wow.
And it's finding the intersection. I think that's more important. And when I'm done, when I get whatever I get from there, I'm going to put my next white belt on. It's always about putting on the next, which is going, I think, all back sort of the,
Right.
the theme of what we're talking about is being a consistent white belt, which is an interesting topic, right? It's got
Hey.
so much volume to it. And I guess that leads me to my last question for you, AV, which is you and I both use our names for our business. We could call it anything, right? My first school was Complete Taekwondo, and now I'm here at CMTKD, Chris Malarkey's Taekwondo, just using my birth name, right? And
Right.
I see you use yours. What is your name? What do you want your name to mean? What do you want your impact to be through your business?
Hmm. I want it to be, that's a good question. I want it to be first, I want the experience to shine. I wanted it to be a trustworthy name. Like, hey, when I call AV, I know what I'm going to get. Whatever he says it is what it is. You can
Oh,
take it for what it is. Because I'm a sharp shooter. No I have no problem telling it how it is and how it should be and how it's going to be. You know, and you have to take charge in that. So I want my name to be basically like, if you're looking at me and seeing me from the working from the ground up, that you can do it too. You can be an entrepreneur. Like, you know, basically don't limit yourself. But I want it to be something that basically I can transcend down if my kids want to do it. If that makes sense. If I answered the question correctly.
passing on the skills. It's that's a very noble thing. I'll tell you, it's difficult
Definitely.
because right when you sit back, you think you know you want to transfer the skill set to this person because it's like almost a selfish way of living on after you're gone. People will remember you through the next iteration of you in a sense, right?
Right.
And then I I got to a point as a parent where I said, it doesn't matter that they're good at this at all. I just want them to know that I was around for them.
Mm. Yeah, that's
And if they can, like, my 3-year-old daughter can kick better than I ever could. I don't spend 20 minutes a day with her kicking. We may spend like 5 minutes a day. Um, but we do that every day.
yes.
And that gives me the result. So even though she does it, now she's asking me to teach with me. So I want to teach me. So she's trying to
Mm.
skip a lot of steps.
She gonna be cold, man. She gonna be
Yes,
cold out there.
she might be. And my two sons, my two boys, who I love to death, are fantastic practitioners. Not even just saying that. I've been teaching my son since he was 2.5, and that was one of the first things I did with him was, install, like, I still have a video of him kicking. Perfect kick technique. But, it's like, that's cool. But like, maybe we do something that they want, at some point in time. And like, that becomes our way to bond. Instead of just me teaching you, you teach me something too. So I'm open to, again, discipline. Yes. Like I have a job to do, this is dad's job, but I'm also open to exploring what you want to do and kind of open to those other corners of myself outside of the work persona. Because when I hang up my belt, just being honest, when I hang up my belt right here, it doesn't go any further than the door. It doesn't work in my house anyway. I tried it. Especially with the wife, it doesn't work. It's like,
oh, that's good.
Chris, you're here, right? So it's all love. I really resonated a lot with you on so many things you said. There's like a pathway that's very familiar in terms of how you think. I wish I could do what you do with my hands. Unfortunately, I don't have the natural skill, but
hey man, look at the school. The school looks great. You did that.
I appreciate it, man. I tried. I did the best I could, and like you said, I knew it had to be done. I made a promise to my students. I said, you'll have this in this amount of time, and it was done. So that's kind of like going back to what you said. Keeping your word, and what you want your name to be, not just the logo or the symbol, but what you want people to associate with your name matters even more.
Oh yes.
That the degree of excellence and being, attacking a goal and, being methodical, of course, having a great experience here. I'm not looking to turn out, expecting to turn out Olympic champions here, but if that's what they want to do, we probably can. But
I believe
I'm more concerned with the value that they get from this and the experience. And I'm sure all of the people that have, hired you to work for them are immensely proud and happy with their homes. I mean, just the thought that you make someone's home more of a home.
Right.
Like you actually in your job I carry out my vision for people. You carry out other people's visions for themselves.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
Very.
That's very powerful. So I hope you understand, the value of your work, man. But yeah, brother, we've spent a lot of time here. We could spend hours more. We've spoken on the phone for hours. Probably should have made those podcasts too. But this has been wonderful, man. Where can people find you? And just tell us briefly, what work you do, what work you don't do, how people can get in touch with you. Just leave people some contact information while I got you for another couple of seconds.
Okay, definitely. So I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
So I'm general contracting, specializing in carpentry. You can find me on IG, Google, got a website as well, but those handles are AV General Contracting. That's you can look those up. And then the type of work I do, kitchens, bathrooms, generally house remodels. I do commercial as well. Not so much lately, but commercial. I mean, if I can't do it, I'm gonna let you know. But I pretty much can do it all. As far as my musician and drumming skills, you can find me at Avonte 603 Drums. That's on IG. I got an IG page up on there.
Fire.
I can do drum tracking. I'm doing a lot more studio work now. I do a little bit of live, but my schedule, and rehearsals, it had to be worth my while for sure.
For sure. Yo, it's been great, man. I'm sure people will look you up. I don't even have to ask you why you. They just got to go to your page and see the quality. I know personally, I took a look at your page and said I didn't know he could do work like that. So it was pretty insane. So, but brother, thank you for your time this afternoon on a Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for all of the knowledge you dropped for us, and just vibing with the energy and everything. It's always good talking to you. Stick around after we after I hit the end of the recording session here. And then, guys, this is the end of the 12th episode of the Mastery Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We're out.
Yes, sir.